CBT News is expanding its reach like never before and is launching in over 70 million broadcasting households. Whether you have Roku, Apple TV, or a mobile device running on Android or iOS, you can now enjoy our engaging, in-depth interviews with dealers, automakers, trade associations, best-selling authors, motivational speakers, and so much more, whenever and wherever you are. Simply search CBT News in the App Store of your smart TV. Welcome to CBT News with Shyann Malone.
Good morning. Welcome back to CBT News. I'm Shyann Malone. On today's show, we're joined by Chris Voss, CEO of the Black Swan Group. But first, here's a look at today's top automotive industry stories. We start with General Motors. GM has exceeded Wall Street's expectations in the fourth quarter and is projecting another solid year despite possible economic and sales challenges. In Q4, GM reported a net income of $2.1 billion, which is greater than the $2 billion reported for the same period in 2022. Company CEO Mary Barra stated, although the U.S. market's adoption of EVs has lagged behind initial projections, the company remains dedicated to growing its EV lineup and sales throughout 2024. On the foreign front, Toyota has done it again after generating record-breaking annual sales of 11.2 million vehicles in 2023. Toyota remains the world's best-selling manufacturer. The automaker did, however, express regret for any irregular issues that came up in certification test procedures for cars and engines at Hino Motors, Daihatsu, and Toyota Industries. The controversy plaguing the subsidiaries could potentially taint the brand's global reputation for quality and safety. And EV manufacturer VinFast V8 off to a rough start with several challenges and negative reviews even. The company has recently reduced the car's lease price, making it one of the most affordable new cars to lease in North America. With a new offer that expires on January 31st, it is now possible to lease the vehicle for just $249 per month for 36 months, requiring only $944 at signing. Now, this price reduction is expected to boost sales alongside other incentives the company is offering to U.S. customers as well. Wrapping up our coverage, 2 U.S. House committee chairs have requested the Biden administration to investigate 4 Chinese businesses they suspect are linked to Ford's Michigan battery facility project. The House Select Committees on Energy and Commerce and the Chinese Communist Party have sent letters to the U.S. Treasury and Commerce departments as well, urging them to scrutinize the supplier relationship of the companies allegedly affiliated with the plant project. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Chris Voss. He's the CEO of the Black Swan Group. He's here to discuss how dealers can become effective negotiators.
CBT News is expanding its reach like never before and is launching in over 70 million broadcasting households. Whether you have Roku, Apple TV, or a mobile device running on Android or iOS, you can now enjoy our engaging, in-depth interviews with dealers, automakers, trade associations, best-selling authors, motivational speakers, and so much more, whenever and wherever you are. Simply search CBT News in the App Store of your smart TV.
Your book, Never Split the Difference, emphasizes the importance of tactical empathy in negotiations. Right. How do you define and apply tactical empathy?
You know, it's applied people smarts, applied emotional intelligence, calibrated in by, what we've sort of learned collectively as human beings about neuroscience and how the emotions react. And it's just, counterintuitive stuff such as you got to get the negatives out of the way before you can talk about the positives. And how do you get the negatives out of the way, certain things like that. It just speeds up interactions.
Yep, for sure. How can individuals enhance their emotional intelligence to become more effective negotiators?
Emotional intelligence is an interesting thing. It's kind of it's kind of an unlimited superpower that everybody was born with if they just develop it. IQ, if you will, has a certain limitation. EQ kind of doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get better at it? You practice taking, guesses at how somebody's feeling based on what you read on their face, on their body language, and their tone of voice, not on how you want them to feel. Like when I see somebody in a grocery store or the clerk and they look like they're really concentrating, I don't go, "How are you?" I go, "Looks like you're having a tough day." Because I can take a pretty good guess at how they are. Now, the more you make these guesses, the better you get. It's kind of astonishing how good you can get at this if you're willing to risk and be wrong occasionally, because when you're wrong, people actually kind of like it because you noticed them and they'll correct you and they feel like they're collaborating with you when they do that.
That's right. That's right. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. So you have mentioned the importance of using your voice and using inflections. What's the significance in that? You just touched on it a little bit, but drill down a little bit further.
Yeah, well, emotions have a contagion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have calm in your voice, there's neuroscience reasons why that calm will be contagious to the person you're talking with.
Yeah.
If you have a smile in your voice, people can feel that. And that's contagious as well. You're 31% smarter in a positive frame of voice, a positive frame of mind. Now, the really tricky one, and I'm happy to admit I learned this from the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, read his book, the inquiring inflection. Like, I can say to you, "Look, when I told you about emotional intelligence, you didn't believe me." Now, that downward inflection, it almost felt like I was disapproving of your disbelief. And if I was telling you about emotional intelligence and you didn't believe me, now that lands differently. And so the inflection on that is just makes tougher things land softer. And you can really get away with saying stuff to people that they need to hear, but you need it to land softly.
Yeah, of course, of course. Have you been called upon by big companies now because there's so many Zoom calls that are taking place that all of those things are so important now when they weren't before because you had people in offices that it's how are you going to present this issue or this problem or this challenge, right?
Yeah, we train companies and coach individuals and small groups and companies constantly. And this is absolutely essential to accelerating business teams.
Sure.
And be sure to watch this full interview right here at cbtnews.com. Well, that wraps up our show for today, but we do invite you right back here tomorrow morning on cbtnews.com. And always remember, you can stay up to date with the most recent news and trends influencing the retail automotive industry by following us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm Shyann Malone. You have a good one.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content. CBT News is expanding its reach like never before and is launching in over 70 million broadcasting households. Whether you have Roku, Apple TV, or a mobile device running on Android or iOS, you can now enjoy our engaging, in-depth interviews with dealers, automakers, trade associations, best-selling authors, motivational speakers, and so much more, whenever and wherever you are. Simply search CBT News in the App Store of your smart TV